The narcissist's intimidation, what their intimidation is, what it does to us as a person, how they intimidate us, what not to do when someone is intimidating us, and what steps we can take when someone is intimidating us. Thank you very much for all the returning subscribers. I hope you're finding the information helpful. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw, and this channel is all about the narcissist personality disorder, to give you more understanding of the people you might have been dealing with in your life, the things you might have been through within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and how to recover from narcissistic abuse, or different ways, different methods to try to help you recover from narcissistic abuse. If you do find the information on this channel helpful, please do subscribe. So what is intimidation? Intimidation is when the narcissist will threaten or frighten someone, either in overt, the obvious ways, or covert, the hidden ways, in order to persuade people to do something they wouldn't normally do, or believe in something that they don't usually believe in or shouldn't really believe in. Intimidation is one of the narcissist's many manipulation methods in order to gain control over aspects of our personality, aspects of our lives, our decision-making skills, our emotional skills. By them intimidating us, they gain their superiority over us, as they feel entitled to get their needs met through us, while they slowly lower who we are as a person. They raise our expectations, and then through the intimidation and many other manipulative methods, they lower our expectations. When we are being intimidated, we don't always recognise we're being intimidated, and there's usually all the background to it, all the false promises, or the future faking, the idealisation, the love bombing, financial abuse, isolation, sleep deprivation. There's so many things that go in the background before many a narcissist will even start with the intimidation. They usually start with the intimidation in such subtle ways that you don't actually know it's happening. Often you are almost trapped within the situation, within the cycle, by the time the narcissist escalates it to levels where you genuinely are aware that you fear for your safety. During the beginning stages of intimidation, we can feel unsafe, but we can question and doubt who we are and our reactions to their actions, rather than questioning their actions to who we are as a person. With the narcissist intimidation, as it's done slowly over time, we often fawn to their behaviour for fear of those reactions, for fear of consequences. We often want to avoid that conflict, avoid that drama. Narcissists are very good at provoking arguments and then saying, I don't want to argue with you. So we're the ones that are left questioning ourselves, where they carry on their intimidating behaviour towards us. And because we don't want to cause that drama, we don't want to cause that conflict, we fawn more and more to their way of thinking, not wanting to stand up for ourselves for fear of reactions from them, from the intimidation. We begin appeasing the narcissist to save ourselves, not realising all the things that are running in the background, not realising we're doing it. We're trying to keep them happy. We're trying to make sure that we haven't done anything wrong. With all the blame shifting and gaslighting and everything else that goes on in the background, we often blame ourselves. When they bait us into those arguments and we react, that reactive abuse, then they play all innocent. We are the ones that are left questioning and doubting ourselves. So although the narcissist is intimidating us, we believe we are the ones that are at fault, and start changing who we are as a person, not realising that we are fawning to their ways. We are almost enabling their behaviour, even though we don't see it at the time. Not realising that the harder we work to try and please them, to try and keep them happy, to avoid those arguments, the more they sink us. The more we forgive them, most often the worse their treatment becomes towards us. the more we forgive them, the more their intimidation of us escalates. It often starts out with the covert intimidation, so we don't actually see what they are doing. We might still be in that idolization stage, or they will say things like, "Don't you know I love you?" So they've done something to hurt you, but then they say, "Don't you know I love you?" Which we're kind of in that sticky situation where we don't want to question the fact that, well, actually, no, your treatment of me kind of shows that you don't love me, but you're telling me you do love me, but you're pinning the blame on me by saying, "Don't you know I love you?" And it puts us in that cognitive dissonance. It's very confusing because with all their gaslighting, our beliefs and our realities all get mismatched up. So when they come at you with, "Don't you know I love you?" their words are saying, "I love you," but their treatment of us is saying they don't, and they actually say "don't" within that sentence. It's very confusing to hear at the time when you don't understand what's happening to you. So then once out of the situation, you see that was just another gaslighting phrase to confuse us, to make us believe they do love us, to con us, to get us to believe in something, to persuade us that our thoughts, our feelings, our opinions are invalid, and what they say goes. Their reality is correct and ours is incorrect. How we are perceiving things, how we are perceiving them, how we are perceiving their actions is wrong, and that we should step up our game in order to get that love from them. We have to work to achieve that love from them. If we don't do as they say, we don't get that love, we don't get that respect. But with a narcissist, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, it is never going to be enough for them, because they feel entitled, because they exploit people, because they have the lack of empathy to care, because they are preoccupied with their own power and success, because of that belief that they are special, because of that arrogance with who they are as a person. They are always going to raise themselves up by finding a way to bring us down. And then there's the obvious overt threats of, "If you do this, I will do that." But then they can also double whammy you with the covert afterwards of, "I was only joking," to make you question, well, was it a serious threat? Were they joking? Were they messing around? What on earth is going on here? Yet they'll somehow twist it onto, "If you hadn't, I wouldn't." So we end up turning inwards and blaming ourselves while they escape responsibility for their actions, their behaviour towards us. They give us that double bind where they give us two or more mixed messages within their actions, within their tone of voice, within their body language, within the phrases they use to us. It has that double meaning where we can be unsure whether they are threatening us, whether they are intimidating us, or because they've said it in such a way that it might not be intimidation, are we overreacting? Are we being too sensitive? And if you feel like someone is intimidating you or threatening you, they are intimidating or threatening you. If you don't find it funny, it is not a joke. But they will have us questioning who we are as a person and our emotional reactions to their actions, so they can deflect the responsibility away from their actions and pass the blame over to us. So they can do that. If you don't do X, Y, and Z, I'll not do X, Y, and Z. Or because you didn't do X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. So they're always throwing it back onto us that we're the ones that have got to step up our game to appease them, for them to then bring out that person they led us to believe they were, just so that they could persuade us into doing the things that we wouldn't normally do. So the different types of intimidation. Intimidation can be down to tone of voice, it can be down to body language, and it can be down to the words they use. It can also be physical. With the words they use, it's the covert, "I wouldn't if I was you," and with the overt, the obvious, "If you do, I will." So within intimidation, Isolation is a form of intimidation. Causing those arguments to stop you going out is a form of intimidation. Moving you away from family and friends, which they'll usually have some sort of fake future promise of, if we go here we can have this dream life, so we go along with it because it's in that love bombing idealization stage where they are selling us the person, leading us to believe in them, leading us to trust within them. And then once they've moved us away, they isolate us from that support. And being isolated is a form of being intimidated because you've got nowhere to turn to, or you perceive you've got nowhere to turn to, and they help instill that fear that you've got no one to turn to, often with using divide and conquer or triangulation, with using financial abuse, with using sleep deprivation, using the silent treatments, gaining the control of your finances so you've got no access to money, destroying your passport, all these kinds of things where you might fear speaking up to someone that you can't get a good night's sleep because of this person, because it doesn't quite sound right when you say it out loud, but it is genuinely happening. And people do this to people. They find ways to financially abuse you so that when you try and explain it to other people, it doesn't necessarily make that much sense. But when you put it all together with everything else they are doing, they have financially abused you. I said in a couple of videos recently, they can give you the control of the finances, but they can intimidate you into making sure that their needs are met first, so that you can't pay the bills, you can't put the food on the table, things like that. But they intimidate you. But to the outside world, it looks like you're the one in control of the finances. But their intimidation running in the background means they are the one in the control of you and the finances. Intimidation can be a form of body language, so they can just stand over you, they can restrain you but not physically restrain you. They can block doorways, or they can hide keys. They can find some way of restraining you from going to do what you want to do, even down to causing those arguments so that you fear going out. They are almost, because of those arguments, because you fawn to their behaviour for fear of their reactions, they are holding you hostage in your own home for fear of going out. Then there is the physical, and this can start off with simply grabbing you by the wrist or holding you back, often accompanied with things like, I'm doing this for your own good. So it's got that double-minded meaning to it, because no matter what you do, it's going to be in the wrong. If you speak up for yourself, it's going to be in the wrong. If you stay silent, it's going to be wrong for you to stay silent and to stay in that position. You're trapped in that situation of, if you say, no, you're hurting me, they're going to come at you with, well, I'm only messing around, or I'm doing this for your own good. So you question who you are and what your reactions are to their behaviour. And because they're saying they're doing it for your own benefit, you're led to believe they're doing it because they care. A narcissist is very good at baiting you, using the things you are most passionate about, because these are the things you will most passionately defend, and then turning it around onto you. Once you react to their behaviour, they turn it around onto you. They suddenly become more calm, and they will turn around to you and say, I think you need some help. We then recognise our own behaviour and question who we are as a person. So then when they're coming at us with things like, this is for your own good, we are stuck in that confusion of something doesn't feel right, but their actions and their words are telling us that we are the ones in the wrong and we should trust within them. And as they'll bring back those idealization stages, those love bombing phases, when we do meet a need of theirs, as they'll deliver on some of those future promises, we question ourselves more and more and more, fawning to their ways more and more and more, trying to appease them more, so that we don't feel that emotional pain, so that we don't feel that confusion within our minds, so that because up here it becomes so confusing, and because in here it's so confusing, the cognitive distortion is incredibly draining within itself, causing those anxieties. And when you're living in anxiety, and that depression and they're coming at you, telling you that you need help, you can recognise that you need help. You just don't realise that you need help escaping the very person who's making you feel that way. Or we forgive them, the worse their behaviour gets. So then we get into more where the narcissist is being more aggressive towards us. When they start becoming more physical, and it can start off slow with a gentle push, and they might just be, I'm only joking, or you were in my way. They might start pulling hair, slapping, spitting, not always directly spitting. They might just get in your face with their body language and their tone of voice, so that they are spitting on you as they are being aggressive towards you. They can even tickle you. They can tickle you too hard, and it can come across that they are messing about. And if you explain to them, you're hurting me, they will then come at you that you're being too sensitive, or you can't take a joke, or you can't play a game, or what's your problem, even though they are doing that to almost subtly train your subconscious to understand that they are more powerful than you. So that tickling isn't a game to them. And it's painful to you, but if you speak out, they'll start saying things like, you're too sensitive, to invalidate your feelings, to invalidate who you are as a person. They don't respect the boundary. They don't respect that they've pushed it too far. They are trying to see how far they can push you and what they can get away with. If you feel intimidated, if you don't speak up around somebody, if you're questioning yourself, if you're blaming yourself, if you're changing yourself time and time again to please them, it's often the person you are around that's causing those issues within you. When a narcissist is coming at you with certain things, the things you shouldn't do is do not plead with them. The more you plead with them, the more they learn that that affects you, and the more they will use that very thing against you. The less they know it's bother you, the more they will leave that thing alone. And it's very difficult when someone's coming at you and you want to say to them, that hurts. And even if you don't speak up and they keep repeating it, that is not the person you want to be around. Trying to plead with a narcissist is not going to benefit you, because they lack the empathy to care for how you feel, but they are happy to use that against you. They collect that data to use that against you further down the line. Don't try to prove to them that their behaviour is wrong, because they will come at you with gaslighting. They will provoke you, they will bait you, they will blame you, they will project onto you, they will word salad you, they will, if you try to prove how their actions are in the wrong, as they don't believe their actions are in the wrong, they will find a way to cause that confusion within you, to cause that frustration, that anger and that resentment within you. You might then become on a level where you react, and then the narcissist will twist the blame all onto you. You're the one that will feel the shame, you're the one that will feel the guilt, you're the one that will then work harder to please the very person that's caused the issues within the first place. Narcissists are very good with playing a game over here and distracting you with a game over here by making you blame yourself over here, so they get away with whatever they've done over here. Don't defend how you are feeling. Don't defend your intent to the narcissist, because the more we try and explain our feelings to them, the more they will use our feelings against us. So when we say, you've hurt my feelings, or you've made me feel, a narcissist will latch onto that and make you feel that all the more. But they will tell you nobody makes you feel that way, when yes, they have just made you feel that way, so that they can escape that accountability. They will then tell you that you're being too sensitive, so that you question who you are. And the more you defend yourself to them, the more they're going to use that against you, to cause that frustration, to cause that self-doubt. You don't have to defend yourself to people not willing to listen to you, not willing to understand your feelings. You don't have to defend yourself to people that are just going to use it against you. Don't explain your intentions to them, because if you can explain your intentions to someone, and whether they agree or disagree, if they can take that on board, then that's great. With a narcissist, they are not going to listen to your intentions. They are going to twist it onto what they believe your intentions are, and they are going to stick to that story to try and cause that anger and resentment within you, so that you explain yourself more and more to them, causing that conflict. And the narcissist is the one with all their manipulative methods that often wins. The best thing you can do with a narcissist is no reaction, no longer play their games, because when nobody's playing a game, it's a very boring game for the narcissist to play, and most often they will leave you alone. Do not make excuses for their behaviour. If what they are doing is stopping you from doing something you should be able to do, what they're doing is stopping you from being yourself, if it's stopping you going out with friends, whatever it is, do not make excuses for them. Do not start saying, oh, well, they were feeling lonely, so I couldn't really go out tonight, or they're a bit worried about me, so I couldn't. Do not make excuses for their behaviour. Intimidation is intimidation. If you don't feel safe around someone, they are in some way intimidating you. So do not make excuses for their behaviour. Do not blame yourself for their behaviour. No one deserves to be intimidated. Abuse is abuse, and there is no excuse. The narcissist personality disorder might be a reason behind their behaviour. It is not an excuse for their behaviour. Nobody deserves that treatment. So do not blame yourself for someone else's toxic actions towards you. That is on them. We can accept responsibility for our behaviour within the dynamics of that relationship. We can learn from our behaviour within the dynamics of that relationship. We have to pass the blame back to the rightful owner for their mistreatment of us. If you have to be around them, if it's a family member or a work colleague or a friend, if it's all possible, it's always best to try and avoid them, to go no contact. If you have to be around them and they're starting to intimidate you in some way, find a safe way out of the situation. If it's in a work environment and they are coming at you with words trying to invalidate you, trying to put you down, trying to provoke that reaction from you, the more you stay silent, the more people are going to recognise what they are doing. As soon as you react, people are going to focus more on your reactions than they are their behaviour. So when someone is intimidating you, try and find a way to excuse yourself from the room, to excuse yourself from the situation. Know your boundaries, know the behaviour you will and will not accept from someone. And if you will not accept that behaviour from someone, whether they have a personality disorder or not, whether they are abusive or not, no matter who they are, this is you, this is for your happiness. If you don't want to accept that behaviour from someone, you do not accept that behaviour from someone. Your boundaries are personal for you. Just because your boundaries might not be the same as someone else's, that's great. We're individuals. That doesn't mean yours are wrong. That doesn't mean theirs are wrong. Boundaries are individual for you to live a happy life for you. So find the boundaries that work for you. Find your beliefs, your values, and stick with those. You can bend them if needed, as long as it doesn't cause you any internal pain. Keep written diaries of events, because narcissists are very good at gaslighting. It's always handy to have a written diary, but make sure the narcissist cannot get hold of this diary, because they will think that you've turned against them, they will think you've criticised them, and their behaviour can escalate. If they are intimidating you through messages, keep the messages and watch your responses. It's very easy when they are using things like the children, because you care so much about the children, when they are using your own children, when they are trying to claim your intent is something it isn't with regards to your children, it's very easy to defend yourself and react to them. And quite often that's all they need to change the narrative of the story and use it against you. So always watch your reactions, always retreat, rethink, and only respond if it's to do with the children, if it's to do with the child arrangement. When they're trying to take you off topic, don't go there. There is no safe way to stay in an abusive relationship. There is always a safe way out. It's just finding that safe way out for you, depending on where you are, depending on who the relationship is with, whether it's a partner, a friend, a boss, a work colleague. There is always a safe way out of the situation. And the narcissist personality disorder is on a spectrum, but those who lack empathy, we do have to be careful around. As the disorder is on a spectrum, there is some with low level traits of the disorder that you can learn how they behave and manage yourself around them. There is others where you need to find a safe way out. And some you can have a mix of the narcissistic sociopath, the narcissistic psychopath, and these are the ones you really want to be moving away from safely. And with a narcissist, once you do stop reacting to their intimidation, once you do stop falling to their behaviour, they'll most often have already started a smear campaign, but they will try to bait you into a smear campaign because they don't like losing control. With a narcissist, it's all about controlling all areas of their life. They don't like losing control of people. So they will try to pull you back into their games through the smear campaigns by getting you to defend who you are as a person to those around you. Often telling those that gossip first because it spreads faster. Again, pay no attention. It's very difficult because we want to defend our name. We want to defend our intentions. We want to defend our beliefs, but the more we play into that, the more whatever the narcissist story has been told to those people, the more we will match that story, because the narcissist has learned all about us, so they know what to use against us. The more we step away from that game, and it's very difficult, but the more we step away from that game, the quicker the gossip dies. Sometimes, yes, we do need to get the authorities involved, which is why things like written diaries, saving messages, things like that are also very handy evidence to have in this kind of situation. Evidence of financial abuse if possible, evidence of isolation from friends and family if possible. Gathering as much evidence as possible to prove that coercive, controlling behaviour. I shall add the video in the description about the smear campaign to give you more understanding of that. I hope everyone has a very good day. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.